People often say that hard work matters, but luck decides everything. We've all heard stories where someone seems to get exactly what they want just because their luck is good. Maybe you've wondered the same thing yourself. Does success really depend on luck? Does life become easier for people who are simply born fortunate? Part of you might feel like it's true. Yet there's another voice inside you that whispers, no, there has to be more to it. And that voice is right. So how much does luck truly matter? Does it control your life? Or is something else shaping your future? This summary will help you discover that answer. And the most important lesson is simple. Whether you believe in luck or not, nothing will change in your life unless you change your thinking. If your mindset remains the same, your results will remain the same. And that will hold you back from reaching your full potential. You definitely don't want that. So welcome to this audiobook summary created by Audiobook 101, where you can learn life-changing lessons and powerful ideas through simple, engaging summaries. Today, we dive into the success principles, how to get from where you are to where you want to be, written by Jack Canfield. This book is filled with principles that can transform your life if you are willing to adopt them. In this summary, you will learn that success is not about luck or perfect circumstances. It's about taking responsibility for your actions and choosing the responses that lead to the results you want. You'll discover how to set meaningful goals, how to break those goals into small, manageable steps, and how to develop habits that support your growth every day. You'll also learn the power of doing the right things with consistency. And by the end of this summary, you'll understand how controlling your thoughts, decisions, and daily actions can transform the direction of your life. So, let's get started. Take 100% responsibility for your life. Every person dreams of living a meaningful, beautiful, and fulfilling life. Yet many of us grow up believing that someone else is supposed to make that life happen for us. We assume that the government should create the perfect environment, that our parents should guide us perfectly, or that the people around us should somehow make us happy, successful, and comfortable. It's an idea many people quietly carry, but it is one of the biggest illusions we live with. The truth is simple. No one is coming to save you. Your life is your creation. Your health, your happiness, your relationships, your money, your career, and your sense of purpose all come from the choices you make and the actions you take. Success begins the moment you accept that you are responsible for everything. No excuses, no blaming, no waiting for someone else to fix things. Think of life as a simple equation. E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. You cannot always control the events that happen around you, but you always have control over how you respond, and it is your response that shapes the final outcome. If you want different results, you must change how you react to the world. A powerful example of this came from the 1994 Los Angeles earthquake. The damage was severe, and one of the worst impacts was the collapse of major freeways traffic, which was already bad, suddenly became a nightmare. What used to be a 1-hour commute stretched into 2 or even 3 hours each day. One morning, a news reporter walked along a long line of cars stuck in traffic. He approached a driver, let's call him Person A, and asked how the earthquake had affected his routine. Person A was frustrated and tired. He complained that he hated living in the city and that this was just another disaster added to the long list of floods and fires he had already endured. He said no matter how early he woke up, he still couldn't make it to work on time. In his mind, the problem was always outside of his control. Then the reporter moved to another driver, Person B, and asked the same question. But this man responded with a calm smile. He said he had left home early, around 5 in the morning, and understood that his boss would simply have to be patient. He had brought music to listen to, a book to read, some Spanish lessons to practice, fresh coffee, and even his lunch. Instead of feeling helpless, he prepared himself. He used the slow commute as a chance to learn, relax, and make the best of the situation. Both men faced the same event, yet one felt powerless, while the other felt in control. The difference wasn't the earthquake. The difference was their response. Most people see a natural disaster or any unexpected challenge as a reason to give up, complain, or feel defeated. But successful people think differently. They understand that while they can't control every event in life, they can always control how they respond. And that response is what ultimately shapes their future. If you want to reach any great level of success, you must take complete responsibility for your reactions, your habits, and your decisions. When you stop blaming circumstances and start owning your responses, you reclaim your power. And that is the first step toward creating the life you truly want. Unleash the power of goal setting. Think for a moment about the goals you carry inside your mind. Almost everyone wants to achieve something meaningful, but only a few truly reach what they dream of. The difference is not talent or luck. The real secret lies in understanding the power of goal setting. When you set a clear goal and commit to it, your mind begins to work in extraordinary ways. Your subconscious becomes alert, focused, and fully invested in turning that idea into reality. But this only happens when you know exactly what you want. A vague dream doesn't activate your mind, clarity does. You need a specific destination and a clear deadline. When you define what you want and when you want it, your brain starts searching for solutions, ideas, opportunities, and people who can help you move forward. Even difficult goals become possible when your mind is focused and your intention is strong. One powerful method is to create what many people call a goal book. You don't need anything fancy. Just take a notebook and write down your goals in detail, what you want, why you want it, and the steps you believe will get you there. Add pictures that inspire you, quotes that strengthen your mindset, and reminders that keep you centered. Read this book several times a day so your mind stays aligned with your purpose. The more you feed your mind with your goals, the more your energy and productivity rise in the right direction. A well-known example of this comes from Lou Holtz, the legendary football coach of Notre Dame. His success story didn't begin on a high note. At 28, life hit him hard. His wife was pregnant with their third child, they were running out of money, and Lou had just lost his job. Everything seemed to be falling apart. To lift his spirits, his wife brought home a book, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. Lou didn't know it at the time, but that book would change the entire course of his life. As he read, he realized he had never truly written down what he wanted from life. So he sat down with a blank sheet of paper and began listing every dream, every ambition, every crazy idea he had ever thought about, but never dared to pursue. When he was done, he had written 107 goals across every area of his life. Some of his dreams seemed almost impossible. He wrote that he wanted to dine at the White House, appear on television, become a skilled golfer, and coach the legendary Notre Dame team. These were not small wishes. They were bold, challenging, and far beyond his circumstances at the time. But Lou didn't hold back. He wrote everything down with confidence. Years passed, and something astonishing happened. Lou Holtz ended up achieving 81 of those goals, including the one that once felt the most distant, becoming the head football coach at Notre Dame. His life is a powerful reminder of what happens when you decide exactly what you want and give your mind a clear vision to work toward. This approach can transform your life as well. Sit down and write a list of the dreams you want to experience before you leave this world. Don't worry about whether they seem too big or too small. Just allow yourself to think freely and write honestly. Describe them clearly. When you want them, where you want them, and what they mean to you. And when you're finished, rewrite the most important goals on a small card, or keep them inside your goal book, somewhere you can reach easily. Read them every morning, every afternoon, and every night. Do it consistently, because the mind needs repetition to stay focused. When your goals are always in front of you, your attention sharpens, your energy aligns, and your life begins to move in the direction of your dreams. Chunk it down. When you look at your list of 101 dreams, some will feel exciting, but others may seem huge, distant, or even impossible. That feeling is natural. Big goals often look overwhelming when we view them as one giant mountain. The problem isn't the size of the goal, it's the way we imagine it. We see the destination, but we forget that every destination is reached through many small, manageable steps. The truth is, no dream is too big when you break it down into chunks you can handle. When you divide a large goal into smaller pieces, it suddenly becomes something you can work on today, not something you postpone for someday. And the simplest way to do this is to study people who have already achieved what you want to achieve. Ask questions, read their stories, observe their habits, and understand their process. Success always leaves clues, and those clues often reveal the steps you can take right now. Once you understand the steps, turn them into daily actions. Begin each morning by reminding yourself of your goals, then make a short list of the tasks you need to complete that day. Your days should reflect the future you're trying to build. When you wake up and stay connected to your goals, your mind becomes aligned with what truly matters. Brian Tracy, in his well-known book, Eat That Frog, explains a powerful approach to beating procrastination and achieving more in less time. His message is straightforward. Every day there are many things you could do, but only a few things that truly matter. And among those few, there is always one task that is more important than all the rest. This is the task that moves your life forward. This is your frog, the thing most people avoid because it is uncomfortable, challenging, or unfamiliar. Brian Tracy teaches that you should start your day by eating that frog, by doing the most important task before anything else. Once you finish that task, your confidence rises, your stress decreases, and the rest of the day feels easier. The remaining tasks won't feel as heavy because you've already completed the hardest one. It sounds simple, yet most people avoid their most important task. They hope they'll get to it eventually, but they rarely do. And because of that, they lose momentum and drift farther away from their goals. But when you build the habit of starting your day with what matters most, everything changes. Your progress becomes visible. Your energy increases. Your results compound. Imagine waking up, reading your goals, choosing the single task that will have the biggest impact on your progress, and finishing it before anything else. By the time the morning ends, you've already done something meaningful. Your mind is clearer, your confidence stronger, and your path forward more defined. Big goals no longer need to intimidate you. When you break them into small, actionable steps, the fear dissolves and the path becomes clear. Your dreams stop feeling impossible, and you begin to see them as achievable. All it takes is the discipline to plan your day wisely and the courage to start with the task that matters most. Take action. You might know a lot, you might have read countless books, and you might feel confident in your understanding of a subject. But knowledge without action is like having seeds and never planting them. Nothing grows. Nothing changes. No matter how brilliant your ideas are, they mean nothing unless you give them life through effort, consistency, and real-world experience. Action is the bridge between wanting something and actually achieving it. The moment you begin taking action, your life shifts. People notice your dedication, opportunities start opening up, and you begin learning at a much deeper level. You discover things that no book can teach you, lessons that come from your own failures, from your risks, and from your attempts. Mistakes become your teachers, and experience becomes your greatest mentor. This is why hard work is not just necessary, it is transformational. A powerful example of this mindset comes from Ruben Gonzalez, a man whose determination became bigger than his circumstances. Since he was a child, Ruben had one dream: to become an Olympic athlete. He loved the spirit of the Olympics because it represented courage, discipline, and the pursuit of excellence. He admired how athletes poured years of effort into moments that tested the limits of human potential. To him, it was the purest representation of everything life could be. But Ruben wasn't a typical Olympic candidate. In college, he saw an athlete on television who was smaller and physically weaker than many others. But that man still became an Olympian. This single moment sparked a question inside Ruben. If that man could reach the Olympics, why couldn't he? Instead of doubting himself, he took the question seriously. His first challenge was choosing the right sport. Ruben didn't want something easy. He wanted a challenge that would demand the best from him, something that would force him to grow stronger physically and mentally. After searching, he chose one of the most difficult and dangerous winter sports, luge. It was a sport many had tried and failed at, but that only motivated him more. He believed that if he committed fully, he could make it. What gave Ruben confidence was not natural talent, but something far more powerful: perseverance. Since childhood, he had a personal rule. Once he started something, he never quit. This habit of finishing what he began became his superpower. He trusted that this determination would carry him farther than strength or speed ever could. Ruben began searching for a place to train and eventually found a facility in Lake Placid. He called the administrator and confidently explained that he wanted to train for 4 years and qualify for the Olympic Games. But the administrator immediately hesitated when he heard Ruben's age. Ruben was older than most beginners, almost 10 years older, and the man warned him that he might be too late to start such a demanding sport. But Ruben didn't give up. During their conversation, he mentioned that he was originally from Argentina. Suddenly, everything changed. Because Argentina had so few athletes competing in luge, Ruben's nationality gave him a chance. The administrator reconsidered, realizing that Ruben's path to qualifying might still be possible, despite his age. He warned Ruben about the risks, telling him the training would be extremely hard, and the sport could even result in broken bones. But Ruben didn't flinch. He was ready. He trained relentlessly, pushing his limits every day. His determination was stronger than his fear, and his persistence was stronger than every obstacle in his path. 4 years later, the impossible became reality. Ruben Gonzalez marched proudly into the Olympic Games as a competitor. His story is a living reminder that dreams come true not because of talent, age, or perfect circumstances, but because of action. When you take the first step, you set life in motion. When you keep going, even your biggest goals begin moving toward you. Commit to constant and never-ending improvement. Many people believe that the moment they reach a goal, the journey is over. But this way of thinking limits your potential. In a world that is changing every single day, success is never a final destination. It is a continuous process of learning, adapting, and becoming better than you were yesterday. If you want long-term success, you must develop the habit of constantly improving yourself. Reaching your goal is not the end. It is simply a milestone on a much bigger journey. The world is always moving. New ideas are always emerging, and someone somewhere is always getting better. To stay relevant, to stay confident, and to stay ahead, you must keep asking yourself the right questions. What can I do today to grow? How can I improve my skills? What small change can I make that will elevate the quality of my work? When you ask these questions daily, your mind begins searching for new approaches. You become more observant, more creative, and more competitive. Improvement is not about making huge leaps overnight. It is about taking small but consistent steps day after day until you rise above everyone who stopped growing. A fascinating example comes from the world of baseball. In this sport, a respectable batter manages to hit the ball 1 time out of every 4 attempts. If that same player is also a strong fielder, he becomes good enough to play in the major leagues. That level of performance already places him among the best players in the country. But then there are the stars, the players whose names are remembered, whose jerseys are sold, and who earn multi-million-dollar contracts along with major endorsements. These superstar players hit the ball 3 out of every 10 attempts. Now here is the surprising part. If you compare their numbers, the difference between a respectable player and a superstar is shockingly small. A good player gets around 5 hits out of 20 attempts, while a star gets 6 out of 20. Just 1 extra hit in 20 attempts separates a normal career from a legendary one. This tiny difference, a single hit, is what creates fame, wealth, recognition, and opportunity. A small improvement, consistently repeated, becomes a monumental advantage. That 1 extra hit is the result of practice, discipline, patience, and an unwavering commitment to improvement. This principle applies to your life as well. There may be only 1 small habit standing between where you are and where you want to be. 1 extra hour of learning, 1 new skill, 1 additional practice session, 1 new idea, 1 small improvement every day. The question is, will you pursue that small difference? Or will you settle for what you already have? If you want to become a star in your field, whether it's business, creativity, sports, or personal development, you don't need to leap forward in a single day. You simply need to keep moving forward consistently. Commit to growing a little bit every day. Over time, those small improvements will stack up, and you will rise to a level that once felt out of reach. Practice the rule of 5. Sometimes when you chase a big goal, you begin by researching and gathering ideas. You watch videos, read books, ask experts, and make plans. But instead of clarity, you end up overwhelmed. There are so many strategies that you don't know where to begin. The result is paralysis. You freeze, overthink, and postpone taking action because the path feels confusing. This is where the rule of 5 becomes a lifesaver. Imagine standing in front of a giant tree that you need to cut down. At first glance, it feels impossible. The tree is massive and you are just one person. But if you take an axe and strike the tree 5 times a day, only 5, the results will surprise you. Those small but consistent hits will eventually weaken the trunk. With enough days of steady effort, the tree will fall. The rule of 5 works exactly like that. No matter how big your dream is, you can move toward it by taking 5 small actions every day. They don't need to be dramatic. They don't need to be perfect. They simply need to be consistent. Over time, these repeated actions build momentum, and momentum creates results. This principle became the turning point in Jack Canfield's own success. When he wanted his book Chicken Soup for the Soul to become a bestseller, he wasn't sure how to make it happen. He studied countless marketing strategies, spoke with authors who had achieved massive success, and filled his notebooks with ideas. But instead of helping him, the overload of information left him confused. He didn't know which approach mattered most. So Jack simplified everything. He created the rule of 5 for himself. Each day, he committed to taking 5 actions that would help his book reach more people. It didn't matter which 5 actions he chose that day. What mattered was consistency. One day, he might appear on 5 radio shows. On another day, he might send 5 copies of the book to editors or reach out to 5 marketing agencies. Some days, he simply gifted 5 books to readers who loved inspirational stories. None of these tasks seemed huge on their own, but doing them every day made a powerful impact. Slowly, people started hearing about the book. Readers shared it with their friends. Editors talked about it. Word of mouth grew stronger. Jack stayed consistent with the rule of 5 for 2 full years. After the first year alone, Chicken Soup for the Soul had sold 80 million copies worldwide and had been translated into multiple languages. When interviewers later asked him the secret behind this massive success, his answer was simple. I kept promoting the book every single day. I just followed the rule of 5. The rule of 5 is not about working harder than everyone else. It's about working steadily, deliberately, and with intention. You don't need to pressure yourself to accomplish something extraordinary every day. You just need to show up, do 5 meaningful things, and let consistency work its magic. Even the smallest daily actions, when repeated over months and years, can create extraordinary results. That is the power of the rule of 5. Start now. Just do it. Now that you've taken responsibility for your life, clarified your goals, and committed to becoming the best version of yourself, there is only one thing left to do. Begin, and begin today. Not next week, not when you feel ready, and not when conditions become perfect, because they never will. The only real moment you ever have is now. Fear will try to convince you to delay your dreams. It will whisper that you still have time, that you can start tomorrow, that there are more comfortable things to do today. But every day you postpone taking even a single step, you lose precious progress. While you wait, someone else is moving forward. Someone else is taking the opportunity that could have been yours. The first thing you must do is set a deadline. Giving your goal a date gives it power. If you need to learn something before you begin, then learn it. But don't hide behind preparation. Preparation should move you forward, not keep you stuck. There's a powerful example in the story of a man named Dave. He had a dream of starting his own business, but lacked the knowledge and the money to begin. Instead of letting that stop him, he attended a conference to learn what he needed to know for his next step. Once he felt prepared, he went to the bank to request a loan. The first bank rejected him immediately because he didn't have a business plan. Instead of giving up, Dave bought a book on how to write a business plan and learned everything he could. He created one and took it to another bank. This time, the bank said his plan wasn't strong enough. It had many errors. Again, he didn't quit. He asked for feedback, rewrote the plan, and improved it. He went back to the same bank, confident he had done well. But they rejected him again. Not because his plan was bad, but because they didn't believe they could support his idea. They suggested he try other banks. So Dave continued. He went to another bank, and they turned him away. Then he tried a third bank, rejected. A fourth bank, rejected again. Yet he refused to give up. Each time, he learned something new. Each rejection made his plan stronger, his vision clearer. and his determination deeper. Eventually, after many attempts, one bank finally said yes. Through persistence, learning, and the courage to keep going, Dave secured the loan he needed and launched his business. If he had quit after the first rejection, or even the fifth, his dream would have ended before it began. This is the mindset you need. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Don't sit around hoping things will magically fall into place. The perfect plan will only reveal itself through action, through trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Start now. Take the first step, even if it's small. Your future depends on the actions you take today. Stand up, take a deep breath, and move toward your goal, and the path will open only when you begin to walk. Conclusion. Every person dreams of success. We all want to grow, achieve, and live a life that feels meaningful. But most people never begin because they are unsure of where to start, or they feel overwhelmed by the steps required to reach their dreams. That is where the power of these principles comes in. This book brings together timeless strategies that can help you transform the way you think, the way you act, and ultimately, the results you create in your life. At the core of everything is responsibility. The moment you decide to take full ownership of your life, your choices, your habits, your responses, you unlock a level of power that most people never access. You learn that fear is not your enemy. Avoiding action is. When you change your responses, you change your outcomes. And when you take responsibility, you unleash your true potential. You've also learned how essential clear goals are. Without goals, your mind has nothing to aim for. But when you define what you want and break your goals into smaller, manageable steps, the impossible suddenly becomes achievable. Bit by bit, day by day, you move closer to the future you envision. Action is what brings all of this to life. Dreams remain dreams until you do something about them. The rule of 5 is a simple but powerful reminder that progress does not come from giant leaps. It comes from consistent effort. 5 meaningful actions each day may feel small, but over time, they build momentum. They push you forward when fear tries to hold you back. They keep you on the path, even on days when motivation fades. And through it all, you must remain committed to improvement. Success is not something you reach and stop. It is a lifelong process. Even if you feel confident in your abilities, there is always more to learn, more to explore, and more room to grow. The moment you stop learning, you stop moving forward. Your journey is shaped by your choices. Plan your goals with clarity. Break them down into steps you can take today. Do the small things consistently. Keep learning. Keep improving. Keep moving. When you live with this mindset, there is no limit to what you can create. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary. I truly hope it added value to your life and gave you something meaningful to think about. Your support means everything to this channel. If you enjoyed this summary or found it helpful, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it, because it might help someone else too. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. More powerful and life-changing audiobook summaries are coming soon, created with care right here at Audiobook 101. Also, feel free to explore the other summaries already available on this channel. They may hold exactly the insight or motivation you need today. Thank you once again for being here. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook summary.